With patch 7.3 just around the corner, it is the perfect time to refresh yourselves on the Dawn Trail story up to this point. In this video, I will cover the story from 7.0 through 7.2. And in a few days, a second video will be released with a recap of the first part of the Echoes of Vana'diel. So if you like Final Fantasy XIV lore and news videos, make sure to like and subscribe so you get informed of any upcoming videos. But let's start with our journey in 7.0. We travel to Tural to assist Wuk-Lamat. She is one of the 3 children of Kulul Jaja, the current leader of Tuliolal. He is the first Dawn servant of Tural, as he is the one who went around and united the different nations of the land. But as he is getting on in age, he has put on a competition to choose who will become the next Dawn servant. And that is why we are here with Wuk-Lamat. There were 4 contenders: Wuk-Lamat, her oldest brother Suralja, who is the only biological child of the Dawn servant, and Koana, his other adoptive child. The 4th contender was Pakul Jaja, who won a competition to allow him to take part. Through the competition, we searched for the City of Gold while visiting the different cultures in southern Tural. These were the Hanu-Hanu, the Pelu-Pelu, the Sabral, the Moblins, the Mamulja, and the Yokyu. Over time, our competitors fell out of the race. Pakul Jaja had a nervous breakdown, Suralja broke the rules of the competition, and Koana ended up quitting to support his sister. And in the end, we ended up finding the City of Gold, which was this peculiar futuristic locked gate that we did not get to explore immediately, as we were whisked away to take part in the ceremony where Wuk-Lamat became the new Dawn servant. And she decided that Koana would also become a Dawn servant with her. And during the celebration, we saw Suralja steal a key to open the gate to the City of Gold. Believing everything was fine, it was time for our group to split up a bit. Wuk-Lamat had to learn how to be a Dawn servant, Krail, who had come along to learn more about her grandfather's travels in Tural and her own history, stayed behind in Tuliolal to learn more about the City of Gold, and we went with Erenville to visit his homeland of Yassulani. But before we made it there, we saw his entire homeland overtaken by a massive dome. And from the dome came futuristic flying ships and mechanical soldiers which attacked Tuliolal. These were led by now more mechanically looking Suralja, who fought his father and died doing so, only to be resurrected by the artifact on his head, and then killing his father. But he was unsatisfied with his victory, so he challenged Wuk-Lamat to come kill him within the dome, else he would resume the attack on Tuliolal. Knowing we had to stop him, we blew ourselves away into the dome using the train in Shalawani. And there we find 30 years have actually passed within the dome, while a matter of days have passed outside it. We learn the land that is fused with the Yassulani is called Heritage Bound, but was once known as Alexandria, and is led by Suralja and Queen Sveen, which we meet pretty early on, and Wuk-Lamat quickly befriends. We learn about the regulators which people in the dome wear. This is the peculiar artifact that resurrected Suralja. These regulators store souls, allowing the user to be revived if they die prematurely in combat or accident. It though cannot prevent death from old age or disease, and most alarmingly, it removes all memories of the deceased from everyone wearing a regulator. Meaning, as soon as a person wearing a regulator passes away, the regulator sends out a signal, and everybody who knew them simply forgets they ever existed. During our time in the dome, we join a resistant group called Oblivion, which is led by Erenville's mother. Though she is not physically there, she is somewhere remotely controlling a flying robot, which he uses to talk to us. Through Oblivion, we also meet a child Mamulja. This is Suralja's son, who is called Kululja. He has a guardian named Otis, who once was a man but is now a mechanical knight. Otis was actually the first person to volunteer as a subject for memory extraction centuries ago, when they were still figuring out the technology, and he has ever since been trapped in a robotic body. He did this because during the war in Alexandria, Queen Sveen died, and this allowed the scientists of Alexandria to figure out how the technology worked and revive Sveen, or at least a digital avatar of her, which is what we have been meeting so far. But as we are working on this, Soralja grows impatient with us just kinda hanging around without attacking him. So he has his soldiers attack Tuliolal again, which is defended by Koana, the Science, and Bakul Jaja, who now has turned into a good guy, and some of our older allies from the east, including our dragon friends from Ratsatan, meaning the city manages to stay pretty safe. But he doesn't stop with just that. He also turns the mechanical soldier on his own people of Alexandria. And during this attack, Otis sacrifices his life to try to save Queen Sveen, not knowing that, well, even if she would die, she would just inhabit another body. And during this fight, we make our way up to the top of Everkeep to take on Soralja. There, Soralja tells us why they are attacking Tuliolal. There is an energy crisis for the people of Alexandria, but not for the people who are alive, but those who are dead. As there is a place known as Living Memory, where all the dead of Alexandria are kept. There they become what is known as endless, basically virtual representations of the people they were, and they can keep on living their life within sort of a paradise. But to fuel all of this, they need immense amount of power. And their way to get it is by killing the people outside of the dome. We defeat Soralja, but this is where Queen Sveen turns hostile against us. She grabs the key Soralja used to open the City of Gold. This artifact notably has the symbol of a seam on it, though we don't know why yet. And then Queen Sveen makes a run for it to Living Memory, which is in fact not on the source, but seems to be located on the original shard Alexandria comes from. We give chase to Living Memory, where we find a beautiful virtual world of comfort and joy. There are several massive towers scattered around the area. These are like servers that store the Endless. And this is also where we meet Kakia, Erenwild's mother, who confirms that she is indeed dead. And she tells us the only solution, who is now starting to try to fuse Alexandria with our own world, which would kill a lot of people. We have to turn off all the servers, which will kill the Endless, and Queen Sveen as well. So we go around Living Memory doing just that. During our journey there, we meet Kryle's parents, who tell us how the Lalafell of Alexandria are actually originally from the source, but when a disaster happened, they used the key to travel to Alexandria. And an organization in Alexandria ended up studying the key, the same group who then wanted to study Kryle when she was discovered to have the echo. Kryle's parents therefore used the key to actually make contact with the source again, to get Kryle to safely, giving her to what would become her adoptive grandfather, and handing over the key as well, fully stopping Alexandria from being able to take over more areas. And it was working until Soralja got the key and started everything up again. Kryle does get a chance to say goodbye to her parents, just like Erenwild gets the chance to say goodbye to his mother. But in the end, they are endless, and as we turn off the servers, they all get turned off as well. In the end, we do manage to fight Queen Sveen and kill her, stopping the harvest of the people of our star, and destroying the whole Endless system, including deactivating the memory system. So for the first time, the people of Alexandria remember somebody who died. They remember Queen Sveen, they are aware of her death, and now they have to figure out how to deal with it. Especially now without a ruler, the next in line is Kululja, who is now assisted by the people of Oblivion as this new Alexandria enters a period of major change while we celebrate our victory with the end of 7.0. Though in 7.1 we were invited back to Alexandria to attend Sveen's funeral. After attending, we learn that Gululja wants to know more about his mother. This search leads us to an abandoned research facility where Suralja and a female Mamulja named Tessalja were part of experimenting with soul transfer on captive beasts. Tessalja seems to have pushed Suralja to have a relationship with her, which brought on a child. The lab is now in ruins, things clearly went terribly wrong, and it's not entirely clear what happened to his mother. But we know that Gululja ended up alone. When we return to the city, we find the people at the funeral having worked themselves up into frenzy about the fact that they can now die. But that is when everything changes. Sveen shows up again, or at least a new version of her avatar. And when we try to ask around, we learn that the people have completely forgotten about her death, and they believe the funeral is not for her, but for those who died in Suralja's attack. As the people beg her for solution to their fear, she tells them that they are in fact working on a solution. New regulators are being handed out, known as neo-regulators, and those will be used to turn all of the people of Alexandria into endless. But at the moment, this offer can only extend to 5,000 citizens, as they simply do not have the ether stores needed for more. Knowing there is not much we can do right now, as the people have forgotten everything, and there is definitely something going on, we retreat to figure out what our next step will be. The final cutscene of Patch 7.2 shows Jail and Yistola visiting living memory, and an unseen figure is approaching them, only to collapse. And this is where we enter Patch 7.2. Within the backrooms, we get to see what mysterious person Yistola and Shale found in living memory. And that is no other than the original Sveen. Not the one we have met before, but the one who was thought to have died centuries ago. She has laid in coma because of severe electrical-based ether imbalance, which we cure with the help of a porksy, something that will also allow us to cure others suffering from the same illness. We tell this original Sveen about the 400 years that have passed since her death. She gets a new outfit to hide her identity, and we take her on a tour of the city to let her see how her people are thriving. We meet Gululja, who speaks to Sveen about his father and the previous Sveen, and we all decide that calling all of them Sveen is a little bit too complicated, so it's time to give them names. The Sveen we met in 7.0 will be known as the Endless Sveen, while the fake Sveen walking around will be known as the Simulant. And finally, the original Sveen that we have now is just Sveen. During our walk, we spot the Simulant and follow her, only to be suddenly attacked by enough lightning to knock out the power in the area. And while it does not kill us, it definitely does stun us a bit. And we get our first introduction to Calix, the leader of Preservation, who seems to be behind this current plot. And he is someone who our original Sveen seems to know. We learn that Calix was a genius back 400 years ago. He mastered electro-technology, he founded and now controls Preservation. And while at the time he wanted to cure the paralysis that plagued their people, he now plans to usher in the next phase of mankind's evolution, the Endless. You see, Calix was born with an illness which shortened his life dramatically, meaning he is currently endless. He died a long time ago. And after having become basically immortal, he decided that this is the perfect next step for mankind, free of disease or aging. But for Calix to make other people into endless, even though he only plans to make a limited number of them into one, he is still gonna need power. And that means he is gonna need the ability to jump to other reflections to suck the ether from them. And for that, Calix needs the key. Something we are not so keen on handing over. At the end of the meeting, Calix puts up a simple demand. We hand over the key, or there will be consequences. But we have another plan. With the help of Shale, we manage to identify the origin of Calix's transmission. And it comes from deep down in the foundation of Everkeep, where the old Alexandrian castle stands, with Everkeep being built around and on top of it. So naturally we make our way down there, fighting our way into the castle where Calyx starts trying to gauge our power level by throwing more and more challenging enemies against us, with the final one being a construct of Knight Selenia. Though not made from her memories, but instead people's recollection of her. Sveen, who cared for and respected Selenia, is absolutely horrified by this version of her, and is grateful when we take her down. But with this we have also finished Calyx's final test, and he seems to believe he has gotten a good sense of our power. Calyx bids us farewell for now. The simulant seems to cease to exist and leaves behind her crown, which Calyx simply leaves for us to have. The final important information we get from this interaction is that Calyx confirms that Alexandria comes from the 9th shard, and they are aware of the other shards, which does make sense, after all they are trying to steal ether from them. But at the moment we don't know how they know about them, or how they got the key, or how they figured out what shard they are. But perhaps that will be answered in 7.3, and we return to the back room for now. There we can study the tiara, the terminal we found behind the throne, which we can remotely connect to from the back rooms, and also the various books that we found from the castle library. But as we return back to the upper areas of Everkeep to do that, we learn of several different instances of mechanical guards turning hostile and attacking the citizens around them. And while we manage to stop these attacks for now, there is a difficult choice that has to be made. Shutting down the robots would take away the danger, but also impact a lot of Everkeep's vital functions, as they are not just guards but also a vital part in keeping Everkeep running. It is clear Calyx is pushing us towards an impossible choice, while at the same time making sure the residents will definitely refuse to take off the regulators, and will be fighting ever harder to get the new neo-regulators. But we will see how things develop in patch 7.3. I hope you found this video helpful, be it now just before the release of patch 7.3, or perhaps sometimes in the future, no matter if you're now preparing for patch 7.3 or maybe you're returning to the game after a break. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to give it a commentation by liking and subscribing. And in the end, all I want to say is takk fyrir að horfa og eigðu yndislegan dag.